On the war-torn world of Halcyon-7, the Imperial Guard falters under the relentless assault of the Tyranid swarms and the insidious corruption of Nurgle's rot. The sky burns with green lightning, and the ground itself rebels against the living. Amidst the chaos, a squad of Ultramarines led by the hardened Brother-Sergeant Tyberius Ironheart Damas is dispatched on a mission no one could return from, to strike at the heart of the madness festering beneath the planet's surface. As reality distorts and the warp seeps into their very souls, Tyberius and his brothers face not just the horrors of alien monsters and demonic forces, but a far more devastating enemy: betrayal, madness, and the corruption of their own. The line between honor and damnation thins with every step they take toward the cursed fortress of madness, where an ancient, malevolent artifact pulses with dark power. Can they stop the corruption before it spreads across the galaxy, or will the relentless tide of chaos claim them all? With honor fraying and hope nearly extinguished, the Ultramarines must confront the brutal truth of the Emperor's eternal war. Some victories come only through sacrifice, and some battles are lost before they even begin. The line between loyalty and corruption is razor thin. Will Tiberius' resolve be enough to stem the tide of madness, or will he join the countless fallen in the shadows of Halcyon-7? The fate of more than just one world rests in the balance. The Warp watches.
Hey, what's going on? So really quick, I don't have a ton to say. This is the first video that's in the kind of audiobook format, not the visual one. You'll notice by the blue square. Basically just means that the images will be a little less related, less editing, less sound effects, etc. This is kind of just so I can get videos out faster, because it's a lot easier to edit and faster to edit these types of videos. There's just less to do, so I can get the stories out faster. I'll still be doing the visual audiobooks. You can see those by the yellow square. They'll have more editing. Also, really quick for reference, visual audiobooks typically are 50 plus scenes, images generated. This one's only 7 scenes, I think, this part. Speaking of that, this is a 2-hour long story. I broke it up into 4 parts, each 20 minutes, 40 minutes, and then 30, and I will be releasing them every Wednesday and Sunday. Also, yeah, sorry, you'll see in some of the scenes, the images. In one of them, there's a floating flying tank. I left it in because I thought it was kind of funny, and I liked the rest of the image. And then you'll kind of notice that a lot of the scenes don't necessarily depict what you're hearing very well. That's simply because DALL-E is really restrictive on generating war material and stuff, war content, so it was really difficult just to get to use images alone. I've taken up enough of your time though. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, tell me what you think of this new format. Again, I'll be doing the other formats too, visual audiobooks. That's about it. Enjoy. Subscribe. We made it to 800. Woohoo! That was crazy. Alright, but yeah, cool. Alright, enjoy, and enjoy. Okay, I'll talk to you at some point. Enjoy.
The sky above Halcyon-7 is a suffocating blanket of ash and filth, broken only by the sporadic flashes of green lightning that tear across the heavens. The once great industrial world, once a pillar of the Imperium's strength, is now nothing more than a festering corpse, its surface marred by endless war and the creeping decay of Nurgle's corruption. Below, amidst the ruin and rot, the Imperial Guard fight a losing battle. Endless waves of Tyranid bioforms crash against hastily erected barricades. Guardsmen, their once proud armor now pitted and corroded by the toxins in the air, fire blindly into the swarms, their laser guns hissing as the heat of battle overwhelms the fragile weapons. The ground beneath their boots is slick with the remnants of past engagements, a slurry of blood, ichor, and diseased muck. Every breath they take is a fight, the air itself thick with spores that cling to their lungs like a death sentence. Across the battlefield, a commissar rallies the troops with fervor. His voice crackles through the vox, barely audible over the chaotic roar of battle.
For the Emperor! Hold the line! Do not falter!
His words, once capable of stirring even the most downtrodden of men, now feel hollow, lost in the overwhelming tide of despair that grips the ranks. The Imperial Guard are outnumbered and outmatched. For every Tyranid they kill, 10 more take its place, their grotesque forms writhing and skittering through the corrupted landscape. A squad of Cadian shock troops falls back, their retreat hampered by the bodies of their fallen comrades. One soldier, his face twisted in terror, is dragged into a pool of bile. His screams cut short as the acidic liquid consumes him, leaving behind only a ghastly ripple in the mire. Another wave of hormagaunts tears through a barricade, their claws rending flesh from bone as they swarm over a group of guardsmen. The soldiers fire desperately, but their lasgun shots do little to stem the tide. A sergeant barks orders, trying to rally his men, but his voice is drowned out by the screeching horde. The defense is crumbling, and the realization dawns on every man and woman still standing. There is no hope here. Through the Vox channels, reports flood in, each more dire than the last.
Second platoon is down.
We're out of ammo.
The Tyranids, they're everywhere.
The Imperial Guard are being bled dry, their morale shattered by the relentless assault. For every line they hold, another 2 fall behind them. Even as the Imperial Guard struggle to repel the Tyranid hordes, the planet itself fights against them. The ground shifts beneath their feet, turning into a quagmire of rot and decay, where Nurgle's pestilence seeps into every crack and crevice. Pustules bulge and burst from the corrupted soil, spraying diseased fluids that burn through armor and flesh alike. Guardsmen fall, writhing in agony as the noxious air fills their lungs, the corruption of Nurgle claiming them without a single blow from the enemy. Corpses litter the battlefield, their bodies bloated with disease. Flies buzz in thick clouds, swarming over the dead and dying. The rancid stench of death fills the air, mingling with the caustic fumes rising from Tyranid biopools. In some places, the ground itself seems alive, the rotting earth pulsing with malignant energy, threatening to consume anything that lingers too long. A guardsman stumbles, his boot sinking into a warp-tainted bog, and within seconds, the corrupted soil drags him under. His comrades look away, unable to help as the land itself devours him. Every step forward brings new dangers, not just from the Tyranids or the enemy forces, but from the very planet itself. Amidst the chaos, the Imperial Guard Vox operators struggle to maintain communication. The channels are filled with static and garbled screams, distorted by the overwhelming interference of the warp. Desperation sets in as command structures collapse, and the soldiers realize they are losing more than just ground. They are losing control.
Command, we need support.
A Vox operator shouts into his headset, his voice trembling with fear. There is no response, only the distant hollow sound of corrupted voices whispering on the other end. Rumors spread through the ranks like wildfire. Rumors of a chaos artifact buried deep beneath the surface of Halcyon-7, its malevolent power feeding the corruption that now threatens to consume the entire planet. Fear grips the men and women of the Imperial Guard. They know that this war is no longer just a battle for survival. It is a war against the very forces of the warp, and with every death, with every soul lost to the grinding machine of war, the power of this unseen force grows. The guardsmen fight on, but their faces betray the truth. They know they are fighting a losing battle. The Tyranids are unrelenting, and Nurgle's corruption festers within their ranks, weakening their resolve with every passing moment. Beneath the surface of Halcyon-7, the chaos artifact pulses. It is a subtle, almost imperceptible beat, like the slow, deliberate ticking of a clock. With each death on the battlefield, its power grows. The soil above trembles as the artifact feeds on the carnage, drawing strength from the misery and despair that saturate the planet. The air grows colder, and the whispers of the warp grow louder. Tiberius will not yet know of the artifact's power, but the seed of corruption is already taking root, influencing the battlefield, twisting reality in subtle ways. It will soon become clear that this is no mere war between the Imperium and its enemies. This is a war for the soul of the planet, and perhaps the souls of those fighting upon it. Aboard the indomitable Fury, the darkened halls echoed with the distant hum of the ship's machinery as Brother-Sergeant Tyberius, Ironheart, Damas stood before the hololithic display. The flickering image of Captain Alaric Draven hovered in the dimly lit war room, casting long shadows across the steel-plated walls. Behind Tiberius, the distant rumble of the ship's engines was a constant reminder that they were on the brink of entering a war zone more dangerous than any they had faced before. Draven's voice was firm, his face etched with the cold precision of a veteran who had seen too many campaigns.
The situation on Halcyon-7 has deteriorated beyond Imperial expectations,
he said, his tone laced with the gravity of their mission.
You and your squad are to investigate the heart of the corruption. The fortress of madness, as something unnatural lies within. We suspect it is the source of the warp-taint spreading across the planet.
Tiberius listened without interruption, his expression unreadable behind the faceplate of his helmet. His reputation as Ironheart was well earned. He had seen entire worlds fall, had led his men into hell and back, and had never once faltered in his duty. But even he felt the weight of this mission pressing down on him like a leaden hand. Halcyon-7 was no ordinary war zone. The dual threat of the Tyranid invasion and the creeping corruption of Nurgle was an equation that no strategist in the Imperium could solve. Draven continued.
The fortress has become a stronghold of chaos. You will find no reinforcements there. Your mission is to locate and eliminate the source of the corruption before it spreads beyond the planet. This will not be a battle of attrition. It is a surgical strike into the heart of darkness.
The flickering hololith shifted, revealing a topographical map of Halcyon-7, focusing on the looming silhouette of the Fortress of Madness. It was more than just a structure. It was a blight upon the land, its very presence distorting the terrain around it, warping reality. Even through the projection, the fortress seemed to pulse with a malevolent energy, as though the image itself was tainted.
You will take Brother Sergeant Lucian Vornik and his scout squad ahead to reconnoiter the approach to the fortress,
Draven added.
Pure main force will follow in 2 Thunderhawks. The indomitable Fury will provide orbital support for as long as it can, but do not rely on it. Once inside, you are on your own.
Tiberius remained silent as the briefing ended, the hololith flickering out, leaving the war room bathed in the soft glow of the ship's emergency lights. He removed his helmet, revealing a weathered face lined with the marks of countless battles. His ice-blue eyes stared at the now empty hololithic projector, the weight of the mission settling heavily on his broad shoulders. He had seen death before, countless times. He had seen brothers fall, planets burn, and entire civilizations wiped out in the name of the Emperor. Yet there was something about this mission that gnawed at him, something darker. The Fortress of Madness, with its corrupting influence, seemed to call to him, not as an enemy to be vanquished, but as a place where even the strongest wills would be tested and possibly broken. For a moment, doubt crept into his mind. Could he lead his men into the heart of such darkness and bring them out again? The odds of survival were slim. The mission itself was near-suicidal, a desperate gamble to stop the corruption before it spread beyond Halcyon-7. But that doubt was quickly extinguished. Tiberius had sworn an oath to the Emperor to his chapter, to his brothers. Duty demanded he see this mission through, regardless of the cost. He placed his helmet back on, the cold metal settling over his features like a familiar weight. Ironheart once more. Turning on his heel, Tiberius strode out of the war room, his decision made. There would be no turning back. As Tiberius marched through the corridors of the indomitable fury, the echoes of his footsteps were joined by the soft murmurs of Vox transmissions crackling through his helm. His mind returned to Captain Draven's words, the Chaos Artifact. The mention of it had been brief, almost dismissive, but Tiberius knew better. Draven was not one to throw around warnings lightly. An artifact of unknown origin, nestled deep within the Fortress of Madness, possibly feeding on the death and despair that plagued Halcyon VII. Its influence could be felt even now, warping the landscape, driving men mad. Tiberius had seen the effects of chaos firsthand, but this was different. There was an ancient, malevolent intelligence behind this artifact, something more powerful than they had faced before. His mind wandered briefly to the men under his command. Could they survive such a confrontation? Would they remain loyal to the Emperor, or would the Warp's whispers worm their way into their minds, twisting their resolve? His men were strong. They were Ultramarines. They would endure. But deep down, Tiberius couldn't shake the feeling that the artifact was waiting for them, as if it already knew they were coming. The indomitable Fury's armory hummed with the quiet tension of warriors preparing for battle. Tiberius entered, his gaze sweeping across his squad as they made their final preparations. The chamber was filled with the low clinks of bolter magazines being loaded, the whirring of servo motors, and the scent of sacred oils that anointed their war gear. The weight of the coming mission loomed large, an unspoken presence in the air. To his right, Brother Calidus, the hammer train, was already checking his heavy bolter, his massive hands deftly working the mechanisms. His broad shoulders, hunched slightly as he worked, bore the scars of countless battles. The thick, pitted armor that enveloped him was a testament to his endurance, each mark telling a story of a hard-fought victory. Despite his silent demeanor, there was a glint of anticipation in his eyes, a restless energy that only battle could quell.
Brother Sergeant!
Calidus grunted, his voice low and gravelly as he snapped another magazine into place.
We heading into the thick of it again?
Tiberius nodded, his jaw set.
We strike at the heart of the corruption, the Fortress of Madness.
Calidus smirked, his hands gripping the heavy bolter with practiced ease.
Good. I've been itching to crack some skulls. Tyranid chaos, it doesn't matter to me. Just point me in the right direction.
The banter was familiar, a ritual before the storm. But Tiberius knew the gravity of what awaited them. The Fortress of Madness was not just another battlefield. It was a descent into a nightmare of chaos and bio-horrors. Even Calidus, unyielding as ever, was not immune to the toll such missions took. Nearby, Apothecary Varnus worked in silence, meticulously inspecting his medici tools with the cold precision that had become his hallmark. His sharp, calculating eyes gleamed under the dim glow of the armory's lights. Where Calidus was the blunt force, Varnus was the scalpel, brilliant in his craft, but distant, his demeanor almost clinical. Tiberius had noticed a change in the apothecary, a growing fascination with the effects of Nurgle's corruption that bordered on unsettling.
Varnus!
Tiberius addressed him, his voice cutting through the hum of machinery.
We will need your skill in the field. This is unlike anything we've faced before.
Varnus paused, his gaze flicking briefly to Tiberius.
Nurgle's taint spreads faster than any disease I've encountered. We'll be walking into a cesspit of infection and decay.
His voice was clipped, professional, as cold as the sterility of his tools.
I'll be ready.
Tiberius wasn't fully convinced. He'd seen the way Varnus looked at the corrupted bodies on previous missions, his eyes gleaming with something that went beyond mere curiosity. It worried Tiberius, but he knew better than to question Varnus's loyalty, at least for now. Lastly, standing apart from the others was Brother Librarian Aetolus the Veil Cassian. His psychic hood pulsed faintly with the soft glow of protective wards, though his expression was distant, strained. Aetolus had been acting more withdrawn in recent weeks, his connection to the warp growing increasingly volatile. The subtle whispers from the immaterial realm had begun to gnaw at him, growing louder as they approached Halcyon-7. His psychic abilities were formidable, but Tiberius knew there was a cost, one that was becoming harder for Aetolus to bear with each passing battle. Tiberius approached, his armored boots clanking against the deck.
Aetolus.
The librarian's eyes opened slowly, his gaze distant, as if he were looking at something far beyond the confines of the ship.
The warp stirs, Brother Sergeant. I can feel it reaching for us even now.
Tiberius placed a firm hand on Aetolus's shoulder. The weight of his touch meant to ground him in the present.
Hold your mind steady, brother. We will need your strength in the coming hours.
Aetolus nodded, but the strain was unmistakable. The battle within his mind had already begun, and Tiberius knew that as they drew closer to the Fortress of Madness, those whispers from the warp would only grow louder, more insidious. He had to trust Aetolus, despite the growing tension. As they prepared for deployment, the atmosphere in the armory was thick with unspoken fears and determination. They were warriors of the Ultramarines, bound by duty to the Emperor, but even the most hardened could sense the grimness of the task ahead. Tiberius took a final look at his squad, his brothers in arms, and steeled himself for the hell that awaited them on the surface of Halcyon-7. As the squad finished their preparations, the cold, metallic voice of the ship's vox blared to life, summoning them to the Thunderhawks. It was time. Together, they moved with the cold efficiency of seasoned warriors, stepping into the transports that would take them into the heart of Halcyon-7's corruption. Brother Sergeant Lucian Vornik and his scout squad joined them at the embarkation deck, their presence a silent reminder of the reconnaissance needed before the main strike. Vornik, disciplined and unflinching, gave Tiberius a nod as they boarded. Tiberius stood before them, his voice calm and firm.
Brothers, we have been given a task. It is no simple mission. The Fortress of Madness awaits, and within its walls lies the source of this world's corruption. We will descend into the heart of this nightmare and bring the Emperor's wrath to whatever foulness lurks below. There is no retreat, no failure. We are the Emperor's shield. We are the Emperor's sword for Ultramar.
Their voices rose in unison, a single unyielding roar.
For Ultramar!
The Thunderhawks roared to life, their engines reverberating through the hull of the indomitable fury. As the great doors opened and the planet below came into view, Tiberius felt a chill crawl down his spine. Halcyon-7 awaited, its surface a twisted wasteland of death and disease. There would be no victory here, only survival. And even that, he knew, was a fading hope. The transports lurched forward, the cold metal walls closing around them like a tomb, carrying them into the abyss.
Alright, so what did you think? I don't know. I know it was short. It was just kind of the intro. Again, it's going to be a 4-part thing. Each one, though, after this, you'll be able to listen to it as a individual story with its own, start, finish, and end. And then I'll make the 5th one, I'll make like a 2-hour long altogether. And I'll add a few of the, I guess you'd call them deleted scenes that I took out. I don't have much to say. custom Warhammer figurines, miniatures coming soon, custom data sheets coming soon, custom battle sisters, embossed stickers are coming soon. And tell me what you think. This is the first version of the, you'll notice it's a blue square in the corner, which means it's more of an audiobook, less editing. I'm sure you can obviously tell that there was less editing, less things going on, less sound effects, less, but it enables me to kind of like power these out and get them out far more regularly. I'll still be posting the visual ones. Those are the yellow squared ones. And yeah, that's kind of it. I really want to know what you guys think. I mean, the story's already written and done, so it's not like I can adapt it, but I still want to know what you guys think. So with that being said, please like, comment, subscribe, share, and please let me know what you thought. I need to know. I need to know what people think. And that's it. I really hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for the next one. I'm posting either every Sunday or Wednesday. Trying to get a regular schedule on, and these audiobooks are gonna help. Hope you liked it. Stay tuned for more. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of your night. I'm gonna go now, and that's pretty much it. I'll see you next time. Thank you so much. All right.